Hey, mama. So, if you have ever researched how to create a sales funnel and then got overwhelmed by all of the information Google brought up, you are not alone. The word funnel in the online space sounds super complicated, and trying to figure out, where to even begin can often cause people to just say, nah, I'm good. But I promise you that not all sales funnels are complicated. In fact, in today's episode, I chat with Laura Kåmark all about how to create easy sales funnels as a busy mama. The way Laura breaks down sales funnels takes all of the confusion out of it, all of the overwhelm, all of the I don't know if I could do this. She takes all of that away and really show you a simple way to create sales funnels as a busy mama and really even show you how sales funnels can save you a lot of time behind the scenes with your business. So I highly recommend you grab your notebook and pen because you're going to walk away with so much information on knowing exactly how to get started with sales funnels. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Hey, mama. Are you tired of feeling stressed and overwhelmed trying to grow your online business with your babies at home? You desire more flexibility in your day, allowing you to pour into your family, yourself, and your business without running yourself into the ground. Mama, you can build your dream business and do it in a way that fits your current season of life. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Welcome to the Mama Turned Mompreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andria Singletary, daughter of the king, wife, mama of two, and life and business coach for mompreneurs. On this podcast, you will learn business strategies made for mamas just like you, who desire to be successful CEOs and fully present mamas without stress or overwhelm. So whether you're an entrepreneur who transitioned to a mompreneur or a mama turned mompreneur, I am here to support you. So grab your coffee, notebook, and pen, put in those earbuds, and let's dig in. All right, today on the Mama Turned Mompreneur podcast, I am sitting down to chat with Laura Kåmark, and we're going to be talking all about funnels and sequences and all of the things that I'm currently obsessed with. So welcome to the show. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and all about your family.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show, Andria. I am a website, tech, evergreen, funnel building fool. I primarily work with women who love their work, but not their tech. And it's been a wild ride. I started my online entrepreneur journey back when I was pregnant, laid off from a, quote unquote, super secure corporate job, and just kind of was trying to figure out what to do while also raising this new little tiny human that was in my life. I did a whole bunch of jumping around between I was like, oh, I'm going to be a web designer because I'd been building websites, but I didn't really know how to get clients or how to convey the value, any of those things. Didn't have a support network of online friends like I do now. And so I was trying to do that. And then I found a VA course and started doing virtual assistance work, and then was doing tech VA work because I'm very techie and I like solving problems. And so then from there turned into doing OBM stuff for web designers, and then had a pivot during 2020 because I was doing a lot of project management, was on a lot of Zoom calls. And I could no longer do that in 2020 when I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at home 24/7.
Yes.
So at that point, I decided to do a pivot again and go back to web design, which I've been doing since then. And then it was really interesting kind of as I've grown my network of people, learning that not all web designers were doing the full picture. A lot of them were just building a website and handing it off to the client. I'm like, well, what about connecting it to their lead magnet and setting up ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or whatever their, email service provider is? They're like, I don't do that. I'm not techie. I just hand it over. I'm like, oh, I do all those things. I'm like, so you don't? And people were like, no, that's not. I was like, wow, because I'm just self-taught. I, have a background in agricultural lending, nothing to do with what I do now. And so it was really interesting to just kind of find out that that's one of the things that really was different about me than a lot of other web designers, is that I did the full picture. And I also have found that in working with clients, we have different phases where, we start with the website, and they typically need a website refresh. They're ready to up level and just get their business they've been in business for a few years. They're really clear on who they help, how they help them, the results they get for their clients. Their website no longer represents what they are bringing to the table. And so they're ready to up level their website. So we work together. And then they're happy with that. But then now it's the next step. We need to get some automations in place. We need to get some evergreen sequences in place. So then the next step is really dialing in, like, what's that next piece that we need to do. With a number of clients, we've been setting up evergreen email sequences, which has been super fun. And I'm excited we're going to talk all about that today. And getting all that set up so that that's, step 2 of now they can really start filling that front end of their funnel and knowing that their people are going to be nurtured. It's putting those automations in place so that they're not spending so much time on the back end.
I love that. And it definitely makes you stand out, because I'm just thinking of the different web designers and website builders I know. They don't do that. But it's so needed, and it's so true, because you have all these people coming to your website and they may not, buy initially, but keeping them in your world by getting them on your email list. So I love that you offer that full service like that.
Yeah, it's been really interesting the last couple of years, kind of having this identity crisis. A coach that I've been working with now for a couple of years, she's like, "You're not a web designer, you're a funnel builder, and you do evergreen sequences." I'm like, "But I love building the websites. It's fun." But it is the whole package. And it's also, I really enjoy that I get to keep working with my clients, because I love building relationships, strong relationships, and being able to work with clients again and again and helping their business get to the next level and watching as it continues to grow. That to me is just so exciting, watching my clients succeed.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's talk all about funnels. So, for those of us who may not know, tell us what they are and why do they actually matter, especially for us mompreneurs.
Really, all that a funnel is the touch points you have from the beginning of talking with someone or getting into them getting into your world, and then going through different touch points to have them turn into a client. Not everyone's going to go through the funnel and become a client. They can become a connection. They can be someone you collaborate with. They can just become a friend. But then there's also going to be people who become clients. So your funnel is how they first, so like on the podcast, someone might hear you on the podcast and get on your email list. That's the top of your funnel. And then they go into your nurture sequence. That's part of your funnel. Then you start making them offers. Then they buy something from you. Now they've completed going through the funnel and we all get excited. So it's really not like this super complex. You just think of yes, the, Tupperware funnel, but it's funneling the people down and then getting the ones who will buy, because everyone who discovers you isn't going to buy from you. That's not the purpose here. We're not trying to mass sell to everyone. We're trying to find really good quality clients to work with.
Mm-hmm. And why should we even be thinking about funnels? Why do they even matter?
Well, I mean, first off, your email list is so incredibly important. That is one of the most important pieces of your business. If you're not currently building your email list, it's never too late to start. Go do that right now. Right now, turn this podcast off, go do that, come back, finish listening. It is that important, because you don't own social media. You don't own the followers there. Remember those days where Facebook goes down, Instagram goes down, some people freak out. The people with a good, strong email list are like, we're good. I know how to contact my people. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. That email list is gold. And that is the backbone of your business and your marketing strategy, is having that email list and building relationships and connection with the people on there so that they can get to know you, like you, trust you. You'll get people who will unsubscribe. Those are the people who they're not your people, and that's okay. You want to find the people who are. And in doing so, you create a freebie. Once they get on your email list, then you're able to nurture them with, again, these beginning welcome sequence. And from there, you build these great fans and great customers.
Yes, I agree 100%. I am a firm believer in email marketing. And so, Okay, we know the importance of funnels and everything, but what should we actually consider when we are setting up a funnel? Like, do you have a process that you follow with your clients, like when you're mapping out the funnel or anything like that?
I mean, most of my clients have a validated offer at the end of the funnel that they already know this is working. People have bought it. That's what it means to have validated offers. Someone's bought it. You've made the offer. People have bought it. You've gotten feedback on it. So now what you want to do is put more traffic to that offer. And again, that's typically in you start out with either a freebie, a webinar, some way to get people. It's all you're able to deliver some sort of information, whether it's a PDF, a checklist, a live recording, a pre-recorded something, like you're giving them something in exchange for that email address. And you have to go tell people about it. Like that's huge. I can't tell you how many times I've built a website for someone and then they don't tell anyone about it. This was like in my early days. You can't it's not if you build it, they will come. You have to market what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to talk to people about it. You have to tell people about it. So when you're building your funnels, you need to think big picture, like what's the end goal? So you kind of want to work backwards of like, what's the thing you want them to do at the end? Is it get on a call with you? Is it buy a digital product from you? What's that piece you want them to do? And then work your way back on how you think they're going to get there. How you can nurture them, how you can give them the information, answer the questions they might have, meet them where they're at, talk about their pain points, talk about how you can help them. And so you want to get all those in place, and then you need to have it automated. This isn't something that you do and someone signs up and then you're going and like sitting at your computer emailing people. Like you want this to be set up so it happens automatically.
So yeah, I would say so. This is like where ConvertKit, MailerLite, well, maybe not MailerLite because they're having some issues right now, but like ConvertKit. I know another popular one is Flowdesk that will do all of the automations for you. But I would love to talk about like the top of the funnel. So this is kind of like where your lead magnet comes in. Do you have any like tips or advice for like when it comes to creating I want to say like a lead magnet that is actually going to attract your ideal people that people are going to actually want to opt into?
I think it's all about experimentation, trial and error. As someone who took like 4 years to get her first freebie out into the world because I was so stuck in analysis paralysis of what's the thing these people want.
Yes.
Just go make it and put it out there. And then go make something else. When like I have a bunch of freebies now. Again, it took me forever to get that first one, but just go see what people are liking because you're never going to know if it just stays up in your head and you don't put it out in the world. So experiment. You want it to be easily digestible. You want people to get a quick win from it. You know, typically you don't want to send a PDF that's 87 pages long. I mean, I don't want that. Keep it simple. Keep it, maybe it's the first part of the process of working with you and you're able to put that in a document, a checklist. What are the things people need ahead of time before they start working with you? What are the pieces they have to have in place? You can put a checklist together for that. Just something that makes sense with what your offers are. But again, you got to try it out because you'll never know if you don't put it out there. And then you can always tweak it. You can always make tweaks and changes to it. And you can always create something new.
Yes, I agree 100%. There's like so many things that you can do, and it's probably stuff you already have. So, like, one of the things that I am now doing is like creating playlists for certain podcast episodes that fall within a certain theme or a series and using that as a freebie. So that way people aren't having to scroll back to those older episodes or whatnot. They literally have kind of this roadmap for this specific thing all in one place. So it can even be something as simple as that. Or if you have a course, maybe it's the first module of your course or something like that. It doesn't have to be overly complicated.
Just keep it simple and get it out there and test it out. Because that's all that we're doing here really is just testing out how we can help people and seeing what's going to be the most helpful that people are going to really be drawn to.
Yes, that's entrepreneurship in a nutshell, right?
Exactly. I mean, there is no magical. I mean, I wish I could come on here and be like, so here's the magical freebie that everyone should be putting together. And then your list is going to grow and you're going to make all this money. Like it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, I wish it did.
Yes. Okay, so are there any like do's and don'ts when it comes to funnels? Anything that we like should, I guess, in a sense, kind of stay clear of, or we absolutely need to make sure we're including in our funnels?
Ooh, I love this question. Yes, things you don't want to do. Let's start there. Do not overcomplicate it. You want to have it set up like, don't overcomplicate the tech. Don't overcomplicate your tagging system. Don't overcomplicate your like rules that you put in place. Please keep it simple. Please, please, please make it simple so that one, you can go back later and know what you did and not be like, what did I do here? Two, if you hire someone and someone else comes in, they're not like, I have no idea what this hot mess is back here. Like, it's just, you need to keep it simple. It's very important.
You're talking to me on my millions of tags and ConvertKit.
We can talk about that. Number two, have a system that's not overly complicated that will also integrate with your other tech. Make sure you're picking technology that communicates with your other pieces. This is so incredibly important because when you have a system that you're using and you can't get it to talk to, they sign up, but then you can't get it to talk to anywhere else in your tech stack, it's going to create a headache. You're going to have a whole bunch of zaps, which, like, don't get me wrong, Zapier, Happier, whatever it's called, is a great tool. But please don't have your business fully running through that because it just, again, there's a lot of room for error. There's a lot of room for tech glitches. Like, let's simplify. Find tech that's going to communicate with each other and integrate. Integrate just means that they talk and they work together and they're friends. They play nice in the sandbox. That's what we want to do. So those are like my two big things of like, don't overcomplicate your back end and make sure you're picking the right tech that's going to work for what you already have set up.
Yes, I love that. I just want to chime in on one thing. So this is why I love ConvertKit because it does integrate with a lot of different platforms. So like Thrivecart, Podia, different ones like that. So you don't have to, invest in Zapier and have millions of zaps. But you can definitely do your research ahead of time and see like what platforms actually integrate with the email marketing platform you're choosing and different things like that. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign are my two favorites to work with. Those are the ones I always recommend for clients. ActiveCampaign can do a little bit more and can be a little more robust than what everyone needs, but they both are fantastic platforms. They have great customer support. That's the other thing too. Make sure you're going somewhere that has really good customer support.
Yes.
I deal with this with like website hosting all the time. I'm like, if you have horrible hosting, you probably have horrible customer support too. And the hosting I always recommend has amazing customer support that doesn't make you want to pull your hair out.
What hosting do you recommend?
Either Flywheel or WP Engine.
I've never heard of Flywheel.
Well, and now they're both owned by the same parent company. So they're like the same now, but their tech support's really great. Like I've spent with all the email compliance happenings that's been happening lately in the beginning of 2024. I've spent a lot of hours I will never get back in my life on chat support with, I'm going to name some names. It wasn't a fun time, but like with HostGator, Bluehost, it was miserable. They're not helpful. GoDaddy, they're not helpful. And it's very frustrating. And then 2 hours later, you're right where you started. And yeah.
Yes.
Don't recommend it. So again, have really good customer support. And again, like this doesn't feel like stuff that's like that, out there and that like, but it's important because when you're looking at your business, when you have children, you're running a home, running a business, raising a family, you need to simplify the back end of your business. You need to simplify it. You need to automate it. You need to find ways to make it simple so that you don't get overwhelmed, so that you can do all the things and wear all the hats that us mompreneurs do.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So the do's of funnels, we did the don'ts. So tell us the do's.
The do's. So make sure the things you want to do. You do want to make sure that it's working. Please test it. It seems so simple. You would be surprised. One of the first things I did when I was doing email compliance updates is I was going and signing up for freebies because I put the offer out there in the world and like it was shared on some lists in front of new audiences. And I mean, that's the first thing I did was opt in. And I mean, I haven't touched anything on the back end yet. I haven't even logged in. And the amount of freebies I didn't get, the amount of, I got one of them, I got an email to like the double opt in, but then nothing was ever delivered. I had one that I went to and then it said, go, click this button here on the thank you page to go to it. And then it went to this file is no longer there.
Oh, gosh.
So you want to make sure you test things out. You want to test it every so often. Put a reminder once a quarter. Go test all your opt-ins. Make sure they're working. Make sure everything's going as expected. It's not fun. It's not a sexy thing to do, but it's important because if someone goes and signs up for it and they don't end up on your list, what's the point right there?
Yeah.
So do make sure you do that. Other things to make sure you are doing with your funnel, make sure you're starting to talk to people. Again, if you opt in, if someone opts into your list and then just they get the freebie and then they never hear from you again, it's not going to do anything for your business. I can't tell you how many. There's a gal, I opted into her freebie. It was all about like hip health for like when you're sitting in your chair all day long and how like, and I can never remember her name. I really want to go back and watch the videos. She emailed me like the 3 videos and then I never heard from her again.
Oh no.
And there's other people. I mean, I'm sure we all see it where someone suddenly pops into your inbox. You're like, who is this? How did I get on this list?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, we've all been there. I've done it. I did it. I gathered email lists email addresses for years before I got better. I'm not great. I still have young kids. I still have other things that pop up that sometimes, that to-do item of email my list gets moved to the bottom of the list, which can kind of go into us talking also about why the importance of having an evergreen system can really help take some of the pressure and the stress off of that weekly to-do item of emailing your list. But we're not there yet.
Okay. I was going to say we can dive into it if you want.
No, we want to make sure we do. I didn't prepare for this question. So, okay. So we want to make sure everything works. That's very important. And just make sure it's not overwhelming. I know we kind of already touched on that, but you want people to get a win from it. You want them to be able to digest it easily. Something like good and juicy that you want to send to them that then they're like, oh, this is good. You want it to be something that they're going to tell a friend about.
Yes, yes. I love all of those do's and don'ts. You talk a lot about like keeping it simple. And so tell us, what does that look like? Like, how can we actually simplify our funnels?
Well, the way I simplify funnels for my clients and for the back end of my business is, even though I have multiple freebies, as we've already been over, it all funnels into one place. I don't have multiple lists based on what they signed up for. You can do that, but I'm personally just not a believer in that, only because I want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I want my list so simplified, and I want to be sharing content that relates to anyone who's on my list. And so I might have a number of different ways for them to get into my list, get at the top of the funnel, opt in, but then they all go down to the same place. They go into an evergreen sequence. And so what an evergreen sequence is some of the best performing emails, some of my best content. These are emails that could be a training email where I'm explaining how to do something. Usually that's going to link to either a YouTube video or a blog post. I'll do a permission email of just like relating to them about like, it's okay to send out, push send on the email and it to have typos. Cause I had someone reply once and they're like, you had a typo on your website. And I was like, it's fine. It's just a typo. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's okay. I'm unsubscribing. I'm like, goodbye. Like, you're not my people. Like, recovering perfectionist over here. It took me a long time. I had to work with a mindset coach to even start emailing my list because I was so afraid of being visible. And it's okay. So I will send out permission emails of like, it's okay if you didn't do your big vision planning for the year because you have young kids at home and it's just not in the cards for you right now. Like, that's okay. It's okay to do that. So you send out these good quality emails where people really get to know you. They get to understand how you help people. You talk about your offers. You make offers. Sometimes, oh, this is like a funnel do and don't. Sometimes people forget to ever say, like, here's how you can work with me. And they get caught up in this like informational sending newsletter style thing, but they forget to say, here's how, come buy this thing from me. Here's how I can help you. I know a lot of times people will sometimes say that they feel like sales can be sleazy. There was a woman that I was on a call with once in a group, and she had this like subscription box that could help those with Alzheimer's, like it could help them. And she felt bad about selling it. And I was like, you're helping people. You should feel bad about not selling it because you have a solution to a problem. So you're not being like sleazy and salesy. You're saying, it's like if someone's like, I have a headache. And you're like, hey, I have some Advil. Would you like it? If they say no, they don't want any Advil. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Or if they say, yeah, you give them the Advil because
Yes, that's the biggest thing. People can say no if they don't want your offer. It's okay.
So in your evergreen sequence, let me get off my tangent and go back to what we were talking about. In the evergreen sequence is really where you have that best content that really people get to know you. It's a lot of times funny, engaging, and they go through and they're getting that content from you consistently. Most of my clients, we set up, it's every like 3 to 4 days, sometimes 2 to 3 days. So they get used to, you're also training people to see you in their inbox. I mean, you might notice some of the bigger names, they're emailing you Monday through Friday.
Yes.
And you get used to seeing them there. I have one gal who is like one of my favorite people, and I love seeing her and her emails come into my inbox. I look forward to them because they're very funny. They're engaging. They make me smile. They make me laugh. They make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Like that's what you want to invoke in your readers, in your audience, is that feeling. So in your evergreen sequence, you have that content that you're cycling through and they're getting consistent content from you so that you're showing up and just nurturing them. And then for you, it's simplifying the back end because you're not being like, it's not like putting that pressure on of like, oh, I got to send out a weekly email. What am I going to write about? Yes, it is work up front to like get it all written or go pull it from the archives, look at your stats and see what was really well performing. I know I have an email that I get a lot of replies on and I've sent it out a couple times. And it's like this funny story about how my husband and I, he's also an entrepreneur. We work late at night at the table. Sometimes we're like co-working, sitting on our laptops. Yeah. And he gets his phone out and is making a call. I'm like, who are you calling? It's 9:00 at night. Like no one is, who are you calling? He's like, I need these light bulbs. And all of a sudden this woman comes on. She's like, if you're calling for a good time, I'm like, what kind of light bulbs are you ordering? And we look at the website and they had on the mobile, their phone number was wrong by like 1 digit on the mobile. And it was some like, hotline. And so I have an email about that time my husband called a sexy hotline. And the moral of it, like, bringing it back to business is make sure you go check your links on your website. So they all go the places you expect them to. So no one's calling a sexy hotline when they're really just trying to order a light bulb.
I love that.
But I have an email about that. And I think it's funny. It's in my nurture sequence. I get a lot of replies from it. You do want to have in your nurture sequence, you want to get people to reply to you. You want, again, engage with you. Put little polls out there. You can ask them things. Just get to know your audience.
I love that. So for that evergreen sequence, how many emails do you typically recommend? Or like, I guess, yeah, like how many emails do you like encourage your clients to like space them out? Because I see people do it differently. I see some people say you just send them back to back to back for about a week. And other people are like, no, you wait 2 days in between. And it's like some craziness. But I'm curious, like, what is your process for it?
Mine is about 13 emails a month. And then we break it out into like month 1, month 2, month 3. Again, we're trying to keep the back end simple. Mm-hmm. So if you need to go in and make changes, like it's broken out by month, there's a whole tagging system so you know where people are at. And we do a flash sale every month as well. At the end of the month, they get a flash sale that they go through. If they have a tag that says they already bought the product, they obviously don't get it. But otherwise, they get a 1-day flash sale offer. And then the spacing out can just be, usually it's 2 to 3 days, sometimes 4. I have it all like in a thing. So I know what I usually do. I'll have some clients who want to spread it out a little more, and we do. So it might be called month 1 and it might take a little, it might, be 5 weeks, not 4. But I recommend showing up every 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
I think it's important to show up, get that inbox used to seeing you show up in there. I do think every day can be a little much. Some people it works for. I also am not big on consuming long emails. I like short and sweet. I'm all about simple. Keep it short, keep it sweet. Let's be efficient. Let's automate as much as we can.
Yes.
Because I know that is also going into automation and talking about that. That's one of the things I hear the most when I'll talk about the evergreen, they're like, oh, but then I don't feel like I'm showing up real time for people. And I'm like, but anytime you email someone, you've no control over when they read it.
Mm-hmm.
So all we're really doing, again, it's good content. I have one client I set up for her, and when we hit go on it, it was so fun. It was so fun to finally get this set up. She was so good about emailing her list every week for a couple years. I said, you have amazing content. Let's just go put this into an evergreen sequence so you can take that to-do list item off your weekly or monthly batching to-do list, and you can focus on other things. You can focus on, going on summits, going on podcasts, getting visible. And one of the emails that she put in there was, hey, are you looking for a speaker at your summit, in your group coaching program, or on your podcast? And she sent that out. When that went live, she, because people were in the funnel, were in the sequence, the evergreen sequence, she didn't necessarily know that email was going out that day. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've gotten all these DMs. I've gotten 3 emails, I think, in just that first day where the big group of her list, because we had sent everyone through at the same time. She got a bunch of podcast interview asks and all these things, and it was great.
Yes, and now we can say who it is too, because she was a guest on my podcast.
Because you got that email.
Yes.
I love it. And it was so good. It's such a good, warm, fuzzy email. Mm-hmm. And now as people are joining her list, it's still being used. Because that's the other thing too. You think about this good content you put out, these great emails, it's good, heartfelt stuff. Mm-hmm. And I told that client, I said, I love your emails, and I feel bad for the people who are just now joining your list and will never see that amazing content, because they missed it because they didn't find you till just now. I'm like, that's what an evergreen sequence can do, is you still get to put that really great content that you've put your heart and soul. It's repurposing. And you get to continue to use it again and again and provide that value for the people who just found you later.
Yes, yes. So as we kind of wrap this up, I just want to point out a few key takeaways. So number 1, do not be afraid to email your list. You just to stay at top of mind. It is so important, because you do not want to be that person that only shows up when you're selling, or you come up out of nowhere and people don't know who you are and they unsubscribe. So that, and then when it comes to setting up these evergreen sequences, definitely go back to your own emails and kind of look at the analytics and everything. But another thing you can do too is, when you're writing out these emails, put them in a Google Doc. That way you can always refer back to them instead of having to try to go in your actual email service provider and copy and paste or duplicate and all of that, because you may want to change some things. You may want to make some tweaks or different things like that. But these evergreen sequences will definitely save you a lot of time, especially as a busy mama. And you can get rid of that guilt for not emailing your list, because people are going through these sequences and they're getting your emails.
It's amazing the freedomness that you feel of knowing when people get on your list, they're going to be nurtured. Yes. Instead of this oh, I was just in the summit, it went live. I see because I get a little notification every time someone signs up for my list. It sends me an email with little champagne. It's someone is their life is being changed by this valuable thing you sent them. Congratulations. So I see as people sign up and knowing oh, I know they're going to be nurtured. They're going to get my great content. They're going to get directed to my blog, my podcast, all these places. And I'm going to be making offers to them. And that all gets to just happen on the back end while I just go out and continue to be visible, get on podcasts, speak at summits, all those things.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so one question I like to ask all of the moms who are guests on my podcast is, what is your number one mompreneur hack?
Ooh. I have a mom hack that came to mind, but that has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. My number one is probably, for me, I write out that list of the things that I need to get accomplished. So I can brain dump it out of my head, get it on there, and then get as much done as I can during those nap sprints, and really giving myself grace. If things don't go as planned, because they never do. When I get that phone call that my daughter has a fever at school and she's going to come home for the next few days, like it's okay. Just really stay focused on what your goals are and what you're wanting to achieve, and know you will get there as long as you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. A lot of times it is baby steps, taking those little small actions to get there. And breaking tasks down. That's a big thing too, is when I know for me, one of the hacks I have when things start feeling overwhelming is I just try to break it down into smaller pieces that feel more digestible.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And then also celebrating your wins.
Yes.
I'm a really big fan of celebrating wins. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I post a lot of cheese because I make cheese plates when I celebrate my wins. It's on brand, I swear. And it really, look at how far you've come. You're building a business out of just nothing, out of just you and your expertise and the things you've been able to figure out. That's pretty incredible.
Yes, I love that. Celebrate all the wins, regardless if they're big or small. Yep. I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Laura. This was such a fun conversation and just so enlightening, and just really just helping my listeners get a better idea of what funnels are. Because I think when people hear the word funnels, they get overwhelmed and they think it's too complicated, but you showed us how to simplify it. So before we get off, please tell my audience where they can connect with you and learn more about your services.
Absolutely. So you can go check me out at my name, Laura Kåmark, spelled like Kmark, Kamark, or on Instagram. You can come find me on there at Laura Kåmark. And yeah, send me a DM. I love building new relationships and just connecting with other mompreneurs out there.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
No problem.
Well, Mama, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. If you enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a favor and follow the podcast and leave a review? Hitting that follow button and sharing your thoughts about the podcast are the best ways to ensure that other mamas like you find this show. Your review also lets me know if you're enjoying this podcast, so make sure to share your thoughts before you go. All right, Mama, I'll catch you in the next episode.